All right, welcome to week 7. We're past the halfway point now, so that's very exciting. And just in the last week, we just started developing our full version of the game. That's been the plan. And so this week, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk a little bit about development logs. Short week again this week, but development logs are they're a very handy practice for many reasons, and I suppose I'll get into that right now. So I'm going to talk about this idea of airflow. On the picture on the right over here, I've got this. This is black mold that grows on your wall, basically in areas that don't get any. I don't know if it's sun or it doesn't get air in there. It's sort of a bit. It's closed off. It gets a bit dank and a bit dark, and this this can sort of happen to your project if you go too long without showing it to other people. It's like it can be good to air it out and get a bit of a sanity check. So that's sort of the purpose of development logs primarily. It's like it's good to build exposure for your game, but it's also good to have regular things to look forward to where you can sort of complete the things that you're working on, put it out there, have the positive experience of publishing something. So obviously, because a game is like, it's such a long endeavor. Like we're spending 3 months on a game right now, and that's a short time compared to what most games take. But 3 months it's a long time. It's a long time to go without putting something out. It's like if somebody makes a painting, like, I mean, some people, they spend months on paintings and months on music and things like that, but I don't think the turnaround time is quite as long as it takes to make a game. And similar with books, actually. I think book writing can be a little bit like this. And so what you want to do in the meantime is you obviously want stuff to release. You want small milestones that you can work towards, and you want things that you can wrap up, put a little ribbon on it, present it nicely, and be proud of it. And then obviously have the experience of being able to put that out there to someone, whether it's publicly, like with a channel like YouTube, or on like social media, or even just like privately in our group, or to show your friends and things like that. It's a great healthy way to sort of complement your development process, is to have these like regular goals. And so I just want to read these points here. So isolation can be good, first of all. Sometimes it can be good to work without prying eyes on your project. And so even though I talk about development logs and airing out your work and having things to show people, it can be a good thing, because isolation can be a good thing because it allows you to focus on actually doing what's important, which is building your product. And so like over focus on the sharing can result in like undercooking of the actual project. And so, a bit of isolation, a bit of head to the grindstone can be a good thing, but it can also be bad when it gets to the point of like getting moldy like this. It can cause you to get lost in your mind. So if you're spending a lot of time just developing and don't have regular intervals where you can share with people, it can get difficult to see your project clearly. And so that's why isolation can be bad. And it can also be bad because you can become disheartened if you feel like you're working all the time and you don't have regular things to put out there. One of the positive reasons for doing development logs isn't even necessarily to show other people. It's just so you have the positive experience of completing something. Because like I said, games take a long time, and having things that you can be proud of like that, milestones, is just great for staying sane, basically. So yeah, regularly airing out your project can blah 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 prevent black mold from growing. So development logs. What is a development log? It allows you to share. But before I even talk about that, a development log is basically just a piece of media that just you're documenting your process when you're developing. So you can do a development log. It can be written with some screenshots, with some videos. You could do a video showing some of your code that you've done in the engine. You could show a video of like a play test. You could do some testing yourself. You could post a game demo, just anything like that. Any progress that you've done in the week, it is cool to just collate that and to put it somewhere. It's great to look back on as well when you're in the future and your game might be done or whatever. It can be interesting to scroll back through that development log and see how it all started and to look at how you've grown as a developer. So it's good to leave a trail like that. So development logs. You can share updates from your project on your own terms. You can do them however you want. You can get validation, encouragement, and sanity checks from people that you trust. So the server down here is a safe space for your work to be witnessed. Like I said in previous videos, we've got rules in there, and it's a place for us to share and grow together. So being witnessed in that server can be life-saving and inspiring. It can be very good to share your work and to get that positive feedback. It gives you something to work towards. And like I mentioned in the Horseman slides, it can be very discouraging to share it with the wrong people. So whether you want to go public on YouTube with this stuff or not, that's entirely up to you, which I'll talk about in a second as well. But I would suggest at least having like a private place where you can do it. Do I put... Oh yeah, I've got some suggestions for where you can do it. They're mostly public ones, but yeah, just collect stuff and then you can share it however you want. So here are some of the formats, which I said: videos, screenshots. You can do them written, playable builds, or any other format. They're also interesting to other developers. Like if you share stuff that you've learned, that can be quite interesting. That's some of my favorite content to look at on YouTube, is just watching people explain some of the stuff that they've made in their project, how they did it, and just to see. It's very interesting and it's quite inspiring. So that's something to think about. And the other thing is you don't need to regard yourself as a professional in order to do these development logs. Like I said at the beginning, like, the thing that makes you a game developer is the fact that you're developing games, and at any point along that journey, I don't think there's any point where, like, the idea that you suddenly become qualified and now you can share stuff, I think that's an illusion. I think basically anyone can share anything, because there's always people out there who are at earlier stages and who would benefit from seeing the things that you're learning and the things that you're going through. Like, for example, like if you're on YouTube and you're browsing development logs, it's it's obviously interesting to see stuff from professionals, but it's probably equally as interesting, if not more interesting, to see development logs from people who are just a little bit ahead of you and who are going through the same challenges that you're going through, learning the same things that you're going through, and are sort of in the same boat, because it's more relatable, right? So think about that when you're making content. It's like you don't have to pose yourself as a fucking like game development veteran professional and then feel like an imposter because your work isn't as good as like some developer who's been making games for like 20 years. It's just got to be interesting to someone, and there's always new people that are picking up this field, and so they're going to be interested to hear about your content, and so that's just something to consider. Good to look back on, gives you regular goals, and YouTube is a wild ride. My channel, I started that not thinking too much about it. Like I just made videos because it was just fun. Like I like to make tutorials, and I didn't think too much about it and would just post stuff up there and whatever, and it's become like a main source of income for me. It's the main driver of traffic to my sales pages, and I never expected that at the start. So it's a bit of a wild ride. If you want to do your stuff public, like I'd suggest it. You can use whatever platform you like. So on this next slide, like I've got Instagram, YouTube, X, Discord, Substack. Like you could have a private Discord. You can put on Substack if you want to do written ones with Screenshot or some other blogging website. And you can also do it in your Steam Developer Patch Notes, which is on your, once you've got your app ID, and I think you need a live store page, I don't remember. You can post patch updates there. And then when your game is released, they have a big long log of all the changes that have been made. I like to post stuff in there and just keep track of what's been updated. But you can do it on any platform you want. Whatever is native to you. Like for me, that's YouTube. I use Instagram for personal stuff, but I don't use it for game development. I use YouTube for game development. I've got my audience there already. Like I don't want to rebuild it on a separate platform. So up to you how you want to do that. But do it somewhere, and it doesn't have to be public again. But yeah, share your development log with somebody. So like I said, be conscious of who, but the safe space is the private Discord server. Make it public if you want, but otherwise just share it with us. And then, so there are other things for this check-in. This week's check-in is continue developing your final build. By the end of week 7, you're going to have 3 more weeks to go. So remember to reorganize and prioritize your tasks, and remember that cutting content is essential. We've talked about that in previous videos as well. Your MVP is supposed to be malleable, and you're supposed to learn as you develop, and you're supposed to constantly reassess your plans. There's no such thing as a God-sanctioned game development document that begins at the start of the project and then is made at the beginning of the project, rather, and then is like the Bible from then on. That's not how this works. You need to adjust it as you go and constantly revise it to match the terrain that you're on, because the terrain is always changing as you learn more and as your project takes shape. Your game development documents and your plans are living things that evolve and change as you evolve and change. So keep that in mind. And do a test package at the end of this week. Yeah, that's right. So we started development on the full project last week. And by the end of this week, you want to have your second playable build done. Get whatever content in that you can, but get it in a presentable state and package it and make sure that it's packaging properly so that you can troubleshoot any problems early. And then the last thing, just same as every week, is just reflect. Reflect on the work that got you into flow state and just think about how you can get more of that. So that's the end of week 7. Good job, and see you next week.